Welcome to 10 Talks, real conversations for champions with champions, where a champion life is a 10 life. Thank you for joining our team today. I'm Carlette Patterson, your head sports life coach at the Life Training Academy, and it's our desired outcome to share our passion for sports life coaching by training you to live a 10 life. You and your life matter. Let's get coached. Hi team, welcome to 10 Talks. Today we're talking all about relationships, and we have our guest speaker, Rory, who is contributing today to this relationship with self. And that's what it's all about today. Is we want to really coach you up on how to honor who you are, respect who you are, and most importantly, go for the life that you want. This is a life that we want to be your 10 life, and we're going to focus on our relationship with who we are, what's important to us, and where we are from a belief system and what we're thinking with all of this change. So Rory, welcome. Thank you for another 10 Talks with us. We are loving our series on relationships with you. So let's do an intro in terms of what you're all about from an identity perspective and just self.
Yeah, so based on where I grew up, I grew up in poverty and in a really poor neighborhood in Chicago, and was the son of a single mom, third of four kids. She had 2 divorces under her belt and 4 kids under the age of 11 making $14,000 a year. It was obvious to me from a very early age that I was going to have to invent myself. And I was at a birthday party when I was 4 years old, and we never had people into my house.
Okay.
And so for some strange reason, my mom had a birthday party for my older cousin, who's about 5 years older than me. And I remember the moment like it was yesterday. He was sitting across from me, and there was the cake and there were the candles. And I had this very serious look on my face. And my mom said, "What's wrong with you, boy?" I said, "This is not my life."
You were 4, right?
I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
I said, "This is not my life." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, I'm not going to live in this neighborhood and have this life. I don't want this. And that was the beginning of the creation of self. That was the beginning of an identity. And what I realized at a very early age, and this is why I hate it when parents underestimate their kids, because kids make these decisions at a very early age about self. I realized that if I was going to be somebody in the world, that I would have to create that self. And so that's what I did. And I had a lot of different people who were signposts that guided me to the truth and guided me to the development of self. So I'm glad to be talking to you about this particular thing, because I think the relationship with self is the most neglected relationship in our lives. You know, you do something wrong. That was so stupid. What an idiot. You know, we talk to ourselves all the time and always talk about ourselves in a negative way. It's amazing.
Yeah, from a self-compassion perspective, we are so kind, or at least I hope, or at least our intention is to be kind to other people. And yet internally, we're fighting this battle of negativity. And, eventually what's going on internally is going to come out externally. So, we can only do that suppression for so long. And Rory, let's talk about the truth. Let's just talk about how do we really get what's internally going on in alignment with a vision that's for us and something that really matters. How can we really start to be for ourselves before we start being for other people, or as we are for other people? So take us through that journey of you, that little 4-year-old little guy, really just not having any tools and not knowing much about anything except knowing one thing from an identity perspective: this did not fit you. So take us through that journey.
Well, 40 years of that journey were what I call anti-goals.
Okay.
And rather than defining what I wanted, I was always talking in terms of what I didn't want. What do you want, Rory? Well, I don't know, but I don't want that.
Yeah.
And, so the initial is, I don't want to be in this neighborhood. I don't want to be like my brothers and sisters. So whatever they're doing, I'm going to choose a self that is exactly the opposite of them.
Now, Roy, just real quick, let me call a timeout in there and get a little more info on that. from, how my heart feels from that statement is really making sure as a team that we know we're never against anyone, like the brothers and the sisters and everybody that was living the life that you knew, helped to clarify what you didn't want. Happy for them, like for them in terms of it being their life, just knowing that as we find the things that don't work for us, it's never against anyone, it's always for us. And I think that's a great winning strategy in terms of clarity, is that as we're blessed with the opportunity to experience different things, when we say no thank you, because really learning the power of no is a big thing for self-care. And a lot of times people feel like they've got to go along with it, or they need to be like that. And I love your strength in us really talking about, when we see something we don't want, claiming it and knowing that we're still for whoever's doing whatever they're doing, as long as it's for them, and we can make it not for us. So go ahead and expand on that. I just wanted to put that little note in there.
Well, I know what you're getting at, and you're getting at unconditional love, that we can have unconditional love for other people, but we also have to acknowledge that while we may unconditionally love others and we may be for them, they may not be for us.
Yeah.
And we don't control that. So my brothers and sisters, I had two brothers and sisters, they're not on my side. And for a really long time, that just ruined me inside, because my self-worth was connected to their approval. And at a point, I just realized that you can't make people like you. And even when they're family members. And I think there's a lot of mythology in families that, and the word I think that is most destructive to self is should. It should be this way and it should be that way. And should is a lot different than is.
Yeah.
And so would I have loved it if my brothers and sisters were on my side? Yeah, I would have. I begged a lot of family members to like me, but that's not what happened. And then you go to the Bible and the Bible says, those who aren't for you are against you. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household. A prophet has honor, just not in his own hometown and not with his own family members. And you think, okay, well, what is the wisdom that the Lord is imparting to us in that regard? And I think the wisdom is simple. Everyone won't be for you, but you don't have to connect your self-worth to the approval of other people.
Yeah.
And just to give you an example, recently a friend betrayed me, and it was devastating emotionally, because I never saw it coming. I just didn't see it coming. When you have a friend, you let your guard down, and then this happens, and you just never saw it. I just never saw it coming. It was such a blindside. So, what can you do with that? Well, my first response was anger. And, so the anger, you're lashing out with your words and you're lashing out. But what has been an integral part of myself is that anger always goes to resolve. Right. And so right after I get angry and I'm tired of that, and I take as little time in that space as possible, it goes to resolve. And the resolve is an intense focus to move in the direction of continuing to develop self and to moving on. There's a song, ain't nothing gonna break my stride. Nobody's gonna slow me down.
You gonna start singing for us now, Rory? You got all these talents, I tell you, baby.
My stride. Nobody's gonna slow me down. Oh no, I got to keep on moving. And so that song starts playing in my head, and the resolve comes, and I'm going to the top of the world, looking down on creation. I use music to keep the locomotion in my life as self is developing. But I think self is the most neglected relationship we have, and we don't take good care of ourselves, and that's really a shame.
So team, you got to hear some huge winning strategies there in terms of really making sure that A, we're taking care of you, and B, really let's talk approval, because I think that is a performance barrier that gets in the way of us being able to be our true self, is really, how our friends affect us, how their approval affects us, how our family affects us. So when we're talking about identity, we start with our family belief system. I mean, that's where we learn kind of what we're supposed to be. And as your story reveals so much, Rory, in terms of you learning what doesn't work for you or what you didn't want was inside your family story. If, any of our team is listening to that and relates to it, how do they take the next steps? Like, what do we do with this identity misalignment or crisis, whatever language we want to use, so that we can turn it into that learning experience that really fuels us towards what is our identity, our true identity?
Well, I think the first thing that people have to realize is that beliefs are not necessarily the truth.
Right.
Beliefs are just things that we adopt. Like one of the things that I have a lot of friends who are always describing themselves, and they say, well, Rory, I'm the type of person who, I'm the type of person who, I'm the type of person who, and when it's all finished, they've described themselves in this little box. Okay. And I always tell them the same thing. I said, you know what, you got to think, you've probably heard the expression, you got to think outside the box. You have to think as if there is no box, because there is no box. All right, so I'm the type of person who just gets you in this little comfort zone and the little box, and now you have killed something that is deep inside of you. And here's the thing, and what I tell people that I teach, you don't have the slightest idea how good you are or how good you can be. You have no idea. You couldn't even imagine what you would be. I had a guy tell me one time, he said, Rory, when you find out how good you are, you're going to scare yourself to death.
I think a lot of people feel that way. We've got fear of success and fear of really the power that we have to become who we want to be. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about how we find the courage and the skills and really the ability, and as well as relationships. From my story, I've had relationships that have helped me become who I am today, both in a good way and not in such a fabulous way. I mean, you talk about a friend betraying you. I think every person on this team has had a friend who's betrayed them, right? Like, and I really respect you saying, being blindsided. That's how I feel about when I think about, my friends that have betrayed me. It felt blindsided. It was like, wow, what happened here? And the pain and the hurt, and being able to love them unconditionally. I really want to anchor back in that. I respect having that be our compass. Loving unconditionally, being, like, okay, I can still hurt and be hurt. I can be human, and I can still love unconditionally. So once we get that belief that we're going to be outside the box, we're going to be better than we could ever imagine. I mean, those are words that sound inspirational and encouraging. How do we do that?
Well, here's the missing link. So, all right, so you have these beliefs, you're describing yourself in the little box. Then there's the truth. Right. And the truth is an unlimited possibility. So the thing that people have the most trouble with in the self realm, as I see it, is that they are unique. If you know that you're unique, you know that you're not like anyone else. God gave us a great symbol of our uniqueness, fingerprints. There's nobody else that has our fingerprints. So he's communicating to us through our fingerprints. You are absolutely unique. So what does that mean? It means, what do you want? What are your choices? Because you are free to make choices. But with choices and freedom comes responsibility. All right? There's nobody to blame.
That's right.
So what do you want? What do you want? And there is no question that cripples people more than asking them, what do you want? they cough up a fur ball. But what do you want? And the more ridiculous it is, as far as I'm concerned, the better it is. It was ridiculous for me to think I could get out of the ghetto. One of my buddies told me one time, he said, you know what your chances were of getting out of the ghetto? 0.0001%. And I told him, well, I guess nobody thought about the fact that I had God on my side. So I don't care about statistics. Those are just things that people are reporting what has happened in the past, but it's not at all what can be. So what do you want to become? And when you know that you want to become something, have the resolve to stick to it, and know that the minute you say you want something, The first thing that's going to pop up is all the reasons why you can't, all the obstacles. Everybody's going to start telling you can't do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you going to listen or are you going to be Teflon? Yeah, whatever. Right?
Next
So
play, baby. Next play.
that's right. So here's the thing. What did William Shakespeare say? He said, to thine own self be true. And it must follow, as the day follows the night, that if you're true to yourself, you can't be false to anyone.
Yeah.
But we just don't take the time to feed ourselves. There are things that are vital to us, but they are not urgent. Exercise, it is vital. It is not urgent. So what do? We don't do it. You know, sitting down and reading something, which is a great way to feed self and give yourself new ideas. It's vital to learn, to keep on learning, to keep
Constant
on growing.
learner. Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't do it.
Yeah.
We don't do it because we're so scared that if we just state something out ridiculous about what we want out into the atmosphere, we're so scared that we might get it. So we do everything we can to gravitate away from the dreams that we have. And I've done that, but then eventually I get tired of that and get up and get back on the track. That's all. We just keep climbing, keep
So
moving up.
let's talk about choices, because, you know, once we have this motivation and we're excited, we've got to start choosing choices that get us there versus the ones that take us away from it.
But wait a
So
minute, I was about to sing to you.
you were, oh, okay. Time out. Go for it. Sing to me. I'm ready.
Why are you trying to rush on when I'm trying to sing to you? Keep moving up. Don't you ever stop. Whatever it is, take it to the top. You know what I mean? Okay, so choices. Go ahead.
No.
So,
I'm loving the music.
I got a lot of songs. I'm a karaoke master. That's something that feeds self. So yeah, I sing all day, but I'm not gonna.
That's a joy break. Team, I hope you have some joy breaks, and it's about singing for us today. Rory is blessing us in so many ways from a well-being perspective. Talk about revealing identities. We're getting so much from Rory's identity at this point. This is what we want you looking like, team. We really want you being able to step into who you are, love it, enjoy it, share it with friends, personally, professionally, philanthropically. So let's keep going in terms of this great conversation about our choices. So for us, our MeQ skill, you know, remember MeQ is all about the intelligence of me. This is what we're doing right now. Is all about really statting things up to discover what is it that I really like. You know, are my choices taking me to what I want or taking me away from it? So we do it on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is low, 10 is fabulous. And every time we read a book or say yes to somebody or eat at a restaurant or cook breakfast or, you know, anything we're investing time, energy, and emotion in, we're statting it up on a scale of 1 to 10. How did I feel about that? And, you know, how did that affect me? And 10 means it was for me. It really aligned with my, you know, what I want in life, and everything about it was in alignment. So as we go through these choices, really being able to stat up, is that choice getting me to, you know, what I want, or is that choice taking me away? And, you know, we can make choices from a well-being perspective. You were talking about reading, exercising, nutrition. I mean, those are all very, very valuable. And we've talked about that in, you know, some of our other 10 talks in regards to just well-being. Team, what a gift today is as Rory really takes us through how to start living that 10 life. Are you curious about well-being? We have Champion Wellbeing that's designed to get you coached up living your best life. Go to meq10.com for online courses or lifetrainingacademy.com to get a coach. Remember, you and your life matter. Go for the life you want. Live that 10 life. Let's talk about our choices of the people that are influencing us, or, you know, what is influencing us, because influence is huge inside identity.
Well, there are a lot of people in life that can help you move towards your goals. I want to say something about what you just said, though, before we move to that. So I think people think that when they're moving toward change, that everything is always going to be positive, that it's always going to be forward. It's not like that.
Yeah.
Think about football, right? So in football, You get the ball on a yard line and you have to advance over a goal line. All right. Well, it'd be great if you could just walk down there, blah,
All
blah, blah,
perfect.
blah. Everything was just positive.
Yep.
But no, there are people on the other side of the line that want to knock your head off. And life is like that too. We were talking about that when I talked about my brothers and sisters.
Right.
They didn't want me to succeed. They wanted me to stay in the barrel with them. So there are these people on the other side who want to knock your head off. All right, so what happens? You run a play and you gain 10 yards. And you come back and you're really happy. Good, we got some positive territory. The next play, blitz, boom, lost, 20-yard loss. That's life.
Flag on the play, penalty.
Exactly. And see, people don't like that part. They don't like it that there are ups and downs in life, but that's the way it is. Right. So what if you accepted that for 3 years you could be stuck? What if you accepted that for the first 10 years of your marriage, it could be absolutely horrible and then gets really good at the 10th year? What about that?
That's a long game of life, Rory, in terms of, how many quarters we're talking. What's the clock? Let us know. We got to have some hope here. So, I mean, that clock, that scoreboard and that clock are important in this game of life.
Yeah, well, Dallas, when Jimmy Johnson took over as the coach, their first year, they were 1-15, and Troy Aikman was getting his head knocked off. They built the team and eventually won 3 championships. That's the way life really is.
Right.
And so we don't want to be out of touch with reality and think that life is always going to be positive, because it's not.
Right.
But I think that the things that life offers us as challenges to self, that tribulation, are the things that develop perseverance and proven character, and that give us hope, because we have a whole generation of people now who do not like adversity. Right. But they're experiencing adversity in life, and what I see them doing, a lot of them, is they fall apart. Why? Because they haven't had any practice at adversity, right? There's nothing that my younger son was a great example. When he played basketball, he's a finesse player, and he's a very good player, and he likes shooting from the outside. So I was coaching him one game, and he shoots from the outside, and he shoots about 4 threes, and he misses them all. And I said, come over here, time out. And I just talked to him in front of the whole team, and I said, if you shoot another 3, I'm going to walk on the court and punch you in your face. Take the ball to the hole. Why? Because every time he'd go to the hole, somebody would foul him.
Right.
And he has that thing in him that I have in him, I have and put in him, and that's resolve. And the minute he gets fouled, he goes crazy in his mind because he thinks nobody should foul him. And then he scored the next 20 points in a row. Right? And then after he scored 20, come here, you can shoot 3s anytime you want. Right? So we need that. We need the things that knock us down so that we can get some practice getting up, because we're going to need a lot of practice getting up as we move towards self. We are. So the people that you hang around with was where you
influence. Yeah, we're talking influence.
Yeah, you're going to have both. You're going to have people who are trying to take you the wrong way. You're going to have people who want to take you to the right way. Obviously gravitate toward the people who are taking you the right way. And I just think we're smart as people. I think we know the difference between somebody who's moving us that way and somebody who's moving us that way. We know.
Yeah, but knowing and doing can be a big skill, right? So sometimes that person that, may not be helping me go towards is really fun or feels really popular or, goes towards that want to be liked component in me. And so what are some winning strategies for really making a choice that is getting me for it, and actually not only the choice of knowing, but the action?
Well, it's discernment.
Okay.
And discernment comes through wisdom. And so the friend that betrayed me, people around me were saying, there's something off about that guy. Mm. And I had 4 or 5 or 6 people telling me, there's something off about that guy. I don't know what it is. There's something off about that guy. Well, these are people in my inner circle. I trust them.
Right.
So I opened my eyes a little bit, and then all of a sudden, thank goodness, he revealed himself. Okay, so now what? I'm gonna go sit in the corner. I can't believe that you did that to me, mommy. No, it's like, okay, does that hurt? It hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt. Okay, good. Now I know I have a heart.
Yeah.
Now I know that I can give my trust as a gift and people will mishandle the gift.
Okay.
All right. Back in the game.
Yeah.
Get back in the game.
Yeah.
And learn the lesson. And what's the lesson? There are some people who are not on your side. The lesson isn't, well, you got to be careful with everybody and everybody has to prove themselves to me. And I'm going to keep my arms out from now on, because if you push people away from you, if you keep your arms out, you're still going to get hit. The bullet just has to come from a farther distance.
And it's certainly no fun living alone and not having anybody to share life with versus, knowing that you're going to get knocked down, you're going to get hurt. And what do we do with the hurt in a way that both of us can learn? I mean, anybody in the game of life with us, how can they learn with us? And can we have the courage to have some communication and conversations that are tough?
That's right. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Don't you ever think you keep me down, right? Get up.
Go ahead. Give us another song.
Those are things you have to feel. Okay. I just felt that at that moment. If another one comes up, I'll sing to you again. Okay.
Team, did you ever know that you were going to get so much fun from an identity conversation? I tell you, this is what happens when you know and step into your truth, is that you get to enjoy your life in all dimensions, personally, professionally, philanthropically. Rory, I want to talk about you learning about identity and kind of a moment of going from being a griller on the barbecue to moving into a chef in the kitchen. Tell us about that.
Well, I think that there's nothing that we can't learn. And so my skill as a person who could handle a grill, I have a Weber grill and I have a Traeger grill, and I want to get a green egg because I'm just obsessive about stuff like that. And I just want to see how
we know you're a grill master now. Okay. Right? We've learned that. Okay.
Right. But then I thought, well, that's the narrow definition of me. What if I was a chef? What would I be doing? Because I can eat the same meal 5 times a day, 7 days a week. I don't need variety.
I hope it's a good meal you're eating.
Well, it is, but variety's fun, right? You go to the Michelin 3-star restaurants and they bring you all these little delicacies and they explode in your mouth and it's so good. So I thought, well, why can't I do that at home? Well, there's YouTube. You can turn on YouTube and there are all the greatest chefs in the world teaching you how to make amazing things in 10 minutes. So I just decided that I wasn't just going to be a griller anymore. I was going to be a chef. And so I started learning to do more things. Like one of the things that I revived is a pan-seared steak. I wouldn't consider doing steak in a pan. I always wanted to do it on the grill. But now that I'm doing pan-seared steaks, my older son is, he's bringing steaks over regularly. Hey, can we get another one of those pan-seared steaks? Sure we can. Yeah. Today I'm going to do a stir fry. Why? And I haven't done a stir fry forever. Why? Because I can learn and I can add expertises to myself. And I think when people don't do that every year, when they don't add some expertise to themselves every year, they just get stale. I'm the kind of person who, okay. Boring. I don't want to be boring.
Well, Roy, you are not boring, would never be in my vocabulary as I'm describing identity for you, whether it's in a box or not in a box, that's the last thing. So team, love you hearing that identity component from a personal perspective. I mean, all of us have nutrition in our diets from a well-being perspective. You learn just being able to make a little bit of a change and go from grill master to chef and really just enjoying that variety. Let's talk about your identity professionally, because you've reinvented yourself many times from an identity perspective. Take us through that journey.
Well, and I think as we go into that, what you just said is really important. If you think of yourself as a plant, you're in a pot. And as you continue to grow, the roots of the plant will grow and the plant becomes root bound. Like the pot starts to constrict the roots. You break the pot, you plant in a bigger pot so that the roots can continue to grow. and you can continue to grow, and you will have to repot yourselves many times in your lifetime. The reinvention of self. And what is it? The patterns that you create in a certain moment all of a sudden don't work anymore. We're experiencing this as a society right now. All of us thought that, oh, I have my bucket list and I'm going to be going to Mallorca, Spain, and I'm going to be going to Sicily. And then all of a sudden something comes from the outside and says, no, you can't travel. If you travel, you got to wear a mask. You have to, you can't take 3.4 ounces of liquid through whatever. So you have to constantly be changing yourself. Now, in my career, you know, the average person has 4 careers and 10 jobs in a lifetime. Okay. So in the career realm, you can expect that you're going to be changing. And one of the greatest fears people have is having no job or having to change jobs. But you always have to be in the mode of knowing who you are and being in preparation to sell yourself. There's a great book called What Color is Your Parachute? And it's updated every year. And the guy must be 150 years old by now, because Richard Bowles, because he just keeps coming out with the book. But they teach you how to sell yourselves. Well, people, I don't sell. Yeah, you do. You're always selling yourself, and you always need to be ready to make statements about self that are attractive to other people. So in my career, it was really obvious to me after about 10 years in the career that I was never going to fit in a corporation. Mm. So after getting fired for the second time, I was on my way back to my office to clear out my things, and I mumbled something to myself. You want to know what it was?
Yeah, Hutton, I'm listening.
I said, I will never work for a company again that I don't own. Mm. I started my own business. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared to death. I had just bought a house. My mom had a stroke. I got fired, and I had my first kid. 4 events, any one of which is enough. Right. And right in the middle of all that tribulation, I mumbled this thing. I will never work for a company that I don't own again. And 40 years later, and I have never worked for a company that I did not own, and I won't. So those are the things we do to develop self. And it was a learning experience. There are no entrepreneurs in my family. I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur was. There was no time when I was growing up that I thought, I want to be an entrepreneur. I thought, I want to be a baseball player. I want to be a doctor, a lawyer. I want to be rich. That's all I wanted. And so I had to learn how to be an entrepreneur. And I did, and I love it.
And the world loves it because we're getting the best of you. I mean, that's the beauty, that's the beauty of stepping into being our best self, is that it's a win-win for everyone included and involved. And, that's what I want us to really understand from an identity perspective, is that when we're being us, we're really being our best. And the minute we try to shrink or adjust or do something for somebody's approval, we're missing some of us. I mean, and to me, what a bummer to miss part of us. I mean, this is a great package that I've been blessed with, and I want to be able to develop it and figure out how to give me to the world and start, figuring out me first professionally, how to make a living in a career that really works for me and works for whoever I'm serving and supporting, from a corporation to any clients, whatever we get into, and really taking that opportunity to keep reinventing myself, keep getting better, and appreciating the people that are telling us no, right? I mean, they're basically saying, no, we don't want what you've got to offer. Thank you. Let me go find somebody who does, rather than trying to fit myself into a package of something that they want, because immediately I've boxed myself in to something that really isn't big enough for what I'm going for. Now, what I want to talk a little bit more about from your story is timing, because for the clients that I work with, I know you're a coach as well, and we have the opportunity to work with people through change, through transformational change. It's very scary. I mean, I haven't become the person I am because it wasn't scary. I mean, my biggest changes has happened when I didn't have a choice. And I was like, wow, I've got to step into this and for me, it's God, you go first, and, I'm going to follow, and please tell me what to do. And so, for us in terms of timing, how do we encourage our team, or what winning strategies work inside that timing to go for it rather than to keep saying, I'll do it when?
Okay. So there's one word that tells you the timing: now.
Now. That's right.
Timing is now.
Yeah.
The timing is not tomorrow. The timing is always now, because we're not promised tomorrow. God has allotted to us a number of days, and that's great. And we don't know what the number of days is, thank goodness. But we do know that the days where we're in this physical body will end, and that's good. So when should you get on to the next thing in your life? Right now. Now, there are some things that slow us down. For example, one of the things that I wanted to mention so that I don't forget it is a mythology. And one of the mythologies that I absolutely detest is be humble. Be humble. I'm not humble. Humility is teachability. That is the willingness to learn. But I'm not humble. If I do something that is amazing, I'm going to say, that was amazing. I love that I did that. Somebody will say, Rory, wow, that was really awesome that you did that. I said, I know.
Yeah.
It was
And
so good.
you
I was
worked a
so
lot
happy.
to make that happen.
Exactly. And then the first thing is, oh, be humble. Be humble. Okay, well, aw shucks, kick the dirt. Aw shucks, geez, it's nothing. I won the lottery. It was $300 million. Aw shucks, it was nothing. I didn't really do anything. That ticket just bought itself and jumped into my pocket, and the numbers just happened to be right. That stuff, that's why I like working with athletes, because athletes have swag. And when they do something, they thump their chest and they like what they did. And I like that. And if you don't do that, then you're not being yourself. And there are
Or
always
celebrating
people,
self.
or celebrating. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are always people who are telling you, don't be yourself. Calm down, settle down. You're two. Be politically correct. I am none of those. I'm none of those. And I'm not going to be any of those, because all those things are designed to steal our voice and to push us back into a little box. No thanks.
Not going to happen.
I'm nuts. I love life. I love talking about life. I am intense. I am passionate. I am focused. I am intentional. You need to calm down. You calm down. I'm not
Wrong
calm.
answer.
Yeah, I'm not calming down.
Right.
So I think that when people start to recognize that they're unique, then they need to start saying, expressing their unique voice. Because here's the way I look at other people. The way I look at other people is, you're in this world. The fact that I met you, you're in this world to give me something. I want it. Whatever was the reason that God put you in my life, he put you in my life to give me something. And he put me in your life to give you something. I'm going to give you what I came to give you, is you better give me something back. I want it. Right? So when I go in a classroom of my students, or when I'm coaching people, I'm telling them, hey, I want this. I'm not going to treat you like a little kid. I'm not going to say, okay, I'm forcing you to do this. Now you need to go do it. I want you to do it voluntarily. Make the choice to have an amazing life. But I'm going to demand that they give me what I want. And I think that's really important. But it's never going to be at their expense. It's going to be what they want, plus what I want equals what we want.
Yeah. Power of team.
That's right. So timing, it's now. It's just simple. It's that simple now. Right? So, but I think that, let's say that we wanted to go to a destination and we don't know where we're going. What do? We pull out our phone, we type in an address, which is the destination,
right?
The objective. We push a button, the phone calculates where we are, where we're going, and lays out a whole series of breadcrumbs to grandma's house. That's called a plan. Yeah. It's the premeditation of a result. And I think we don't spend enough time premeditating results. Just sit down in 15 minutes, just map out what you think the steps are to get there. but don't inject your reality. So too many people are realistic. Well, that's not realistic. Of course it's not. That's why it's an objective. They're not realistic. You walk in, I'm the new coach of a horrible team. All right, we're going to go to the Super Bowl. Huh? That's ridiculous. That's not realistic. Okay, well, you're not going to be one of the people that makes the journey.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Next. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to Northwestern University, and we had a football coach back in the 90s, and he went to the Big Ten meetings, and they always put Northwestern up first because, oh, they're horrible at everything. Just put them up. Go ahead. And he walked up and he said, I think this is the year we're going to take the purple to Pasadena. And everybody laughed at him. But he had been preparing the team for 3 years, and the whole thing was, we're going to the Rose Bowl. We're going to the Rose Bowl. And they went. So I think we need to just be ridiculous about how we approach the self things in life. Do it now. Map out what it looks like. When you map it out and you see all these things that look impossible, okay, great. Move. Because what I've seen happen is the exact resources and the exact people you need to overcome the thing you didn't think was realistic show up at just the right time.
Yeah.
The timing is now, Carla.
Love it. Okay, team, if you're not getting inspired and motivated, I don't know. I mean, does Rory need to sing to you? How can we coach you up? We're like giving you everything we've got from an identity perspective to get you being you. I mean, be you. The world needs you. So we got one more dimension in our 3D coaching, Rory, that we want to talk about philanthropically. So you are a champion giver. Love that identity that that for everything that you're doing personally and everything that you're achieving professionally, you're giving back in a huge way. Tell us about really kind of your journey and the winning strategy for our identity as a philanthropist or as a giver.
Well, my feeling about giving has always been, don't give a handout, give a hand. So as a pastor, I wrote a book, And You Will Be Saved, and it's a book about salvation. And so people come up to me on the street all the time asking me for money. And so, sometimes I just feel like, oh, God, get away, stop, stop. And then sometimes I feel, oh, wow. And I didn't know what that was. I didn't know why sometimes I feel horrible and sometimes I feel like giving. And I think it's probably my ghetto instincts where I know that some of those guys really need the money and some of those guys are full of it, right? So I just said, okay, well, I'm going to have a policy. If people on the street ask me for money, I'm going to give it to them. All right. So if I give them and I'm going to decide the amount, it's $1, right? So that's a handout. So I thought, well, how can I, instead of giving them a handout, how can I give them a hand? So I have this book, And You Will Be Saved. It's a book on salvation. So in my car, I have 5 books with $1 in each book. And I just hand them the book and the $1. So if they have a mind to read, they could learn the issues of salvation.
Beautiful.
So great.
So now, there you go, team. There's the power of your story. Hey,
don't try that in Portland, Oregon, downtown.
Okay. Why? What happens?
This lady comes up to me and she says, "Sir, could you help me?" I said, "Well, I'll see what I can do, ma'am. What kind of help do you need?" "I need $5. I said, $5? That's a lot of money. She said, "I got goals." I said, "Well, good for you. Here's 20.
Again,
you got gold.
Asking for what you want, right? There you go, team. Personally, professionally, philanthropically, be bold, be courageous, go big, ask for what you want, whether it's on the street or in your life. This works.
That was really powerful. I never forget her either. I always think about it when I run into those times where I'm kind of reluctant. I just hear her voice. "I got goals." Like, okay, well, I'm going to do something then.
Well, team, we have enjoyed being able to coach you up today and just share the power of our story and our passion for coaching and getting you all skilled up in our MEQ skills. Rory, thank you again for this fabulous series that we're doing on relationships. Today was all about self and our identity. And so as we close, words of wisdom.
I want to, you're asking me for one more thing?
Well, you can as much as you want. I'm asking for words of wisdom.
No, I have one more thing.
Okay.
Don't judge yourself,
Mm.
because a marathon runner who wins a marathon halfway through the race is always in the middle of the pack. They're never leading the pack halfway through the race. But if they judge themselves during the middle of the race, they would say, well, I stink because I'm not out front. I'm here with all the others. But they will kick it into gear at a point and they'll win. And if they had judged themselves in the middle of the race, then they wouldn't have seen the victory. And I think that's what we do as people in the matter of self, is we judge ourselves in the middle of the race. Doesn't matter where you are in the middle of the race. It matters where you finish the race. So keep going, do it now, finish strong, spike the ball,
Have fun.
run through the tape, yell and scream, don't be humble, and then turn around, reach back, and help somebody else across the finish line.
Amen for that. Yeah.
Amen.
Amen to that. Boy, I love that, reaching back and helping somebody new, because you know what? We are on this planet to be helping, serving, supporting, just being on each other's support team and going for an identity that is authentic to us. Be us, be who we are. Team, that's what your challenge is for the week. Go live a 10 life. Make sure you're going bold and big and really going for everything you want. And we are here to love and support you through it. And one of my favorites, MeQ skill that Rory and I are anchored in, is that unconditional love. So practice, 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 and have a 10 week. Thank you, Rory.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening. We'd like to get you coached up, so head over to iTunes and Spotify and hit subscribe. And remember, a champion life is a 10 life. You and your life matter. Create a life that you love, give hope to others, and be and choose nothing but 10s. Be you. The world needs you. Go to lifetrainingacademy.com to start your training and get coached.